Hello and welcome to Friday edition of the People's Voice on VOP Television, where the stories that matter most take the center stage as we continue to amplify the voices, stories, concerns, and perspectives of the everyday Nigerian citizens. That's you and I, Xavier, and of course the viewers. But today on the show, we are taking a critical look and in-depth analysis at the developing story, which is quite interesting and maybe sensitive at the same time. ASUU federal government deadlock persists as universities head for strike. This is 2025 and we still have to talk about things like this, but let me introduce myself again. My name is Adefunke Jaisimi.
And I am Xavier Udo.
Good afternoon, Xavier.
It is TGI.
Yes, exactly. It's a very, very good day, the end of the week, and of course, everybody's super excited about the weekend. So let's look at some news stories this afternoon together as we tax. We should start with political stories. And of course, it's been reported that former Kano State Governor Rabiu Kwakwanso has said that Nigerians have made up their minds ahead of the 2027 elections, citing widespread of poverty and hardship in the country. Speaking at the new Nigerian People's Party NNPP National Executive Council meeting in Abuja, Kwakwanso highlighted the struggles of Nigerians, including poverty, insecurity, and lack of access to basic necessity. The former governor emphasized his party's commitment to the people, citing his achievements in Kano State as governor, including free education and security initiatives. But as a follow-up to that story, there's also the part of Kwakwanso opening up to say he wasn't going to leave the party. So Senator Rabiu Kwakwanso, the 2023 presidential candidate of the new Nigerian People's Party, NNPP, has stated that he has no plans to leave the party, but is open to discussions with other stakeholders. Kwakwanso made this declaration at the 9th National Executive Committee NEC meeting of NNPP in Abuja, emphasizing that the party is flexible and ready to talk to anyone, and he also stressed that the NNPP National Chairman Aljuji Ahmed noted that the party is almost about the most sought-after party in Nigeria at the moment, steadily moving towards the 2027 general election. I mean, most sought-after party in Nigeria right now, heading towards 2027 election. What do you think? Are you seeing what they are seeing?
And the recognition award goes to
NNPP. And the most interesting thing about how these parties appear is they have so much confidence. It feels like...
Is it just about confidence? I think it's more than that.
Okay, what is it?
You understand? Because if it's about confidence, you can still say, oh, we are a party, we believe we can still do this and all. But for you to say we are the most sought after, I think it's something beyond confidence.
No,
you understand?
So maybe my own thought on this is when they say sought after, they know that they might not necessarily be a national party. Yeah. They have a strong base in the north and Kano State particularly.
It's just Kano.
Exactly. So when they say sought after, it feels like everybody needs Kano State. So are you thinking the way I'm thinking?
Okay, so if everyone needs Kano State, you understand, they can still gamble around it. But for Kwakwanso to say Nigerians have made up their mind first, he said that in the news. He also said Nigerians are hungry. He said all of that. Now he said, I am still in my party. NNPP. I am not NNPP. I'm not moving anywhere.
But I'm open to negotiations.
But I am open to negotiation. Don't you think that's a diplomatic statement? A
negotiation. He's trying to talk about coalition.
But that's the thing.
So, and he said, so it doesn't have to be about the ADC now.
He said either a party or individual. I am open. You understand? And later your chairman is saying that you are the most sought after. For me, I think it's a very good thing, Rabiu Kwakwanso, Your Excellency. But please, give us the direction. Don't confuse us. Today, you say you are in your party. Nobody's removing from that party. But if you want the coalition to come, tell them. You understand?
No, there have been cases where political parties have, prior to elections, come out to tell their followers that, okay, we are all voting for this person and we are supporting this person. So it's not a new thing in our political scene where politicians and political parties actually collapse their structure into other structure for the sake of winning that particular election. But is it your sought after?
You see, I don't think the most sought after party would want to collapse into any party. Okay, and if you look at the track record of NNPP, okay, they are very, very strong in the north. But Kano, to be precise, they wouldn't want to jeopardize all of that. That's why they said that they are very okay, that they are good in their party.
No, it's a relationship. You
understand?
You need to look at this from another angle.
What I am thinking here is that the only opportunity that this man wants to seize is either if the ruling party I am just giving a prediction. If the ruling party decides to change its vice president, well, that's one. Secondly, you understand, the coalition, but I don't think the coalition would want to give Kwankwaso a direct ticket or to say they want to push him.
No. For this conversation, I don't think it's about the coalition.
So
first,
maybe
Kwankwaso will not be running mate to anybody in that coalition.
You understand? That it can't,
the only running mate he can afford at this time is maybe to Ebola Ahmed Tinubu as vice president, and that is under the possibility of presidency returning to the north in 2031, and him also having the chance to clean the ticket ahead of 2031.
So that's the only negotiation that he has.
But either ways, I mean, it's political calculations, and they always know better.
Well, let's just say hello to the Musot after party.
All right, hello to NNPP. We wish you the very best. But still on political issues now, opposition parties in Nigeria are actually challenging INEC over voter registration. So another report is saying that Nigeria's opposition party, or some, because not all have come out to talk, that let's talk about the African Democratic Congress, ADC, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and of course the Labour Party, LP, who have raised concerns about alleged irregularities in the voters' pre-registration exercise so far. They cited high registration figures in Osun State and the disparities in registration numbers across states, potentially compromising the 2027 general elections. INEC attributes the data release normal registration trends, ensuring only eligible voters are registered. The parties are calling for an investigation, electoral reforms, and a forensic audit of registration data. Forensic experts have offered support to INEC to address disparities using technology and forensic tools. So this is another issue that we should talk about. According to reports from what the history used to be in Osun State, when it comes to registration for every electionary year, it's always less than about 200,000. So
that's the thing.
So having over, I think they have like 600 something or 400 and something at the time. But the margin is what these political parties are citing here. But also, as much as it's important for us to investigate and do some forensic audit into this, if we have been clamoring for change and asking Nigerian citizens to pay more attention into the electoral process, and you're advising people, I mean, if the people in the state decide to go all out to register, I don't think that is a problem, but it would be good that an investigation is being conducted and forensic audit, everything that they've suggested is being done, just so that INEC can, I mean, be maybe clean, whitewashed,
be vindicated.
Vindicated.
You
I mean,
understand?
you know, maybe because I do not understand. 1 minute we're asking that we want people to participate in the electoral process. The next minute we are saying that we have too many people, and
the truth
disparities.
The truth remains that if you are not a ruling party, you can suspect everybody.
Opposition is hard.
Opposition.
So you wake up every new day.
to be an opposition is very, very difficult. It is harder than this job.
Really?
Yes, but
have you been an opposition?
You understand? Because as a broadcast journalist, we just come, we do our job and all of that. But for opposition, they have to monitor everything. If you greet them anyhow, they suspect you. They say, oh, they sent this person. You understand? So for now, they don't trust INEC.
Right.
Okay. But just like what you said, if we're actually asking the people to pay more attention to the
electoral process,
and get involved and all of that, so you faulting the people for coming out is also a problem. I think let's just leave it for the forensic auditors to do their job, okay? But for now, pointing fingers at INEC and all of that, I don't think we really need it. So opposition parties, all of you, go and put your house in order. That's what you need. For now, that's what you need. That's
what you're saying because you're not a politician. But let's move away from that story, which will talk about something happening in Kaduna State. This is another interesting, if you call it interesting, or you might find it funny, but either ways, the Katsina State government has approved 20 million for each local government area in the state to renovate graveyards. You heard that correctly. Governor Diko Rada has announced a welfare package for traditional rulers, including salary increments for district heads, monthly allowances for ward heads, and stipends for imams. The governor emphasized security as a top priority and has urged traditional rulers to promote collective responsibilities. I don't know if you want to react to that story.
Okay, so I have to be very careful, okay? When I read this particular news, giving each local government and LCDA 20 million to renovate graveyards. I don't have issues with the dead, okay? But because it is the living that will bury the dead, okay? But you releasing 20 million naira, and in the full news, it gave all the religion leaders, the emirs and all of them, the hakimis. He gave all of them money, the imams. But what about your people? Do you understand?
This might just be a part of it. It doesn't mean that the people are not benefiting. This is just one story in the news.
Land. And for Katsina, I know that state very well. Okay? So if you can release 20 million for each local government to renovate graveyards, then you should be able to do better for your people that are still alive. That's all I can say.
You have a problem with the dead?
I don't have it.
Okay, let's move on quickly to talk about the PDP. The PDP has been in the news recently, and of course, they feel like the big story. Every new day you wake up to thoughts and, of course, new developments from the PDP.
Let's use your words. I think 3 days ago you said they are the reigning party, not the winning party.
Right.
But for now, because they've been talking about them back to
yes,
back.
I like the comeback. I just hope that this comeback can also reflect in results. That's the idea at the end of the day, because the reports coming from the PDP at the moment is that the Bauchi State Governor, Bala Mohammed, has urged that the party PDP fields a Southern Christian as its 2027 presidential candidate. He said that he actually made this call in an interview last night, arguing or urging the Southern that the party would do better with a Southern candidate, and of course maybe probably give them an edge over the ruling All Progressives Congress. He said it will help the PDP avoid the controversy that the APC is currently facing at the moment, and of course has to still deal with in 2027. The governor also stated that the party must be sensitive to Nigeria's religious and regional diversity when choosing its ticket. Mohammed also criticized the APC's 2023 ticket, saying the choice of a same-faith pairing provoked backlash and failed to reflect Nigeria's diversity. So the reports that we got initially after they had that meeting was about an agreement to zone the
south.
The ticket to the south, and now coming from a northerner suggesting that not just a southerner now, there should be a specific direction, and that is looking towards a Southern Christian. Yes, in as much as a lot of people will agree with that, but it feels more like we are going back to the Peter Obi format of the church taking back the country. But either ways, I feel like there are better political strategies that the PDP can play around than this.
Thank you. I love that statement. You said you feel there are better strategy. I also expected them to play or give us better strategy instead of coming up with religion again. Usually, whenever election is around the corner, you would always see these leaders playing with either tribe or religion. Okay, some people talked about it in 2023. LP also dabbled into religion thing.
And they played majorly on that.
Yes, which they did. What was the result? Now, I expect something better from PDP. If you're talking about religion now, we want a good leader. But if you're talking about religion now, you're just trying to start a new problem that we don't need for now. And I just feel the reason why this man can talk about that, okay, is because he also mentioned I think yesterday, I saw it in the news that he is willing to be a running mate to Sheyi Makinde. Yes, he said it. So Sheyi is Christian. No, of course, Sheyi is Christian. So, so he said it. Said he's willing to. It's in the news. So it's not from me, it's in the news. So, but of course, I don't expect PDP to actually use anything religion as
well, for me, I think that when you want to score political scorecards, there are a lot that can be done or said. We've had this conversation over and over again, and it's quite understandable because Nigeria is a nation where if we are not playing towards ethnicity, we are playing towards religion and all of that. But zoning it to South is what we want. A lot of Nigerians wanted to hear. So whatever you choose within yourself that conversation can come later on. But either ways, it might be a good one. The PDP is trying to get back on track, and that is very, very important, regardless of what the likes of Larry Olayinka thinks on the moves by the PDP. But let's come straight to Lagos State, where the Lagos State Assembly Speaker Mudashiru Obasa has urged local government and LCDA chairmen to deliver on their mandates, warning that poor performances lead to dwindling votes. He advised them to build functional council chambers, provide infrastructure, and work collaboratively with the teams. Obasa also suggested practical initiatives like poverty alleviation programs and publicizing projects. I mean, it's enough to do a lot for the people, but publicity is very, very important because that's what people will see and talk about. Let me get your reaction quickly before we move to the next
I don't
story.
think I have a reaction. All I can say is da 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 da.
Either way, Eko Onibaje. That's all I can say. Eko Onibaje, but that's the much we can take.
Anything that has mandate, you don't have to say anything on it.
Well, that's the much we can take on the news headlines at the moment. We need to move straight into the conversation, and this is the point where we like to hear from you. We like you to call in to be a part of the show and share your thoughts with us on some of the topics we've highlighted so far and on the conversations we're having in the studio. The number to call is 090-447-32605. 090-447-32605 is the number to call us via WhatsApp to share your thoughts. And you can follow us on social media at VOPTV Live. You can use the hashtag People's Voice on VOPTV. And on YouTube, we have Voice of the People Television. Kindly hit the subscribe button. And together, let's make our voices heard. It's time to go on a break now. When we return, we come to talk about ASUU and federal government and, of course, the universities heading for strike. Is that the way to go? We'll be back to talk more about this after the break. Please stay tuned. Welcome back to People's Voice on VOP Television, Special Friday edition. So the new thing is the fact that ASUU, that we thought is, they turned a new leaf, or maybe it's better now, are actually on the verge of embarking on a nationwide strike over a prolonged impasse with the federal government. The union is demanding the implementation of the 2009 renegotiation agreement payment of withheld salaries and promotion arrears, among other issues. So here are some of ASUU's demands. The union demands include the implementation of the 2009 ASUU federal government agreement payment of withheld salaries and promotion arrears, release of revitalization funds to universities, remittance of third-party deductions, and improved working conditions for lecturers. But on the part of the federal government, here's the response. The federal government has denied signing any agreement with ASUU, describing the document referenced by the union as draft proposal. The Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, claimed that the government had held an expanded meeting with stakeholders to review the contents of the draft agreement line by line. But also, ASUU has also reacted, and in their reaction, ASUU has rejected the government's claim, citing poor record keeping by the government. The minister was not informed that the then permanent secretary of the ministry, Mr. Mark John Nwabiola, signed on behalf of the government, while Professor Ukachukwu Awuzie signed on behalf of the union. So in all of this, there are consequences. The potential strike could disrupt academic activities affecting over 2 million students in Nigeria. ASUU has expressed readiness to shut down institutions if demands are not met. The strike could also have far-reaching consequences for the nation's education sector, with students and parents already reeling from the impact of previous strikes. Well, it's going to be a long conversation that needs to happen between ASUU and the federal government so that we can avoid this avoidable situation. But we are being joined virtually by a guest who will be doing justice to the conversation. But I still have with me in the studio, Xavier Udo. Maybe I'll let you just introduce the guest and we get started with the conversation. Okay,
so I was even thinking that you were going to ask me now, what do I think?
I tried to get our analysts to talk about this issue. I don't want to know what you think at this point. So introduce the guest and let's get started.
Okay, Comrade Anselm Eregbe is our guest today, a former member of Labour Party and also immediate past national youth leader of Labour Party. So.
All right, Comrade Anselm, I got that correctly.
Yeah.
Comrade Anselm, can you hear me?
Yes. BOPTV, Comrade Iragbe Anselm.
All right,
okay.
Member of the Labour Party Interim National Working Committee and the former national youth leader of Labour Party.
All right, thank you so much for being a part of People's Voice this Friday afternoon. So, before I start asking you questions now, you've heard the introduction and what is happening between federal government and ASUU. First, what's your position on the current reality of ASUU FG drama again?
Well, I remember this is a long drawn battle between the Academic Staff Union of Research, Academic Staff Union of University, ASUU, and the federal government of Nigeria dating back to 2009. This same agreement has an implication. It implicated the research institution sector in Nigeria under the banner of the Academic Staff Union of Research Institutions, where I am the national organizing secretary of that body in Nigeria. So other than being the national youth leader of Labour Party at the time, I'm a researcher and engineer. I worked with the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASEMI, a parastatal under the Federal Ministry of Science and Technology. Remember, I was a student union president. I'm the first executive president of the Ahmadu Bello University Student Union Government, ABU Zaria, 2002.
Okay.
2004. So I've been part of a team, this team, both at the university level, at the research institution level in Nigeria, that have been part of this negotiation at different levels. So this matter is not new to me. So that's why I say it's a protracted condition of service of the university system. So that agreement made mention of a lot of issues. It had to do with funding the entire process or system in the university sector. But of course, the reality today as it stands is that the federal government is almost very unlikely to be able to execute that agreement. Being that if you look at the impact of the subsidy removal only recently, when His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came in and removed subsidy, the singular impact of that action was that prices, inflation, for instance, hiked, prices of goods and services tripled, even though there is this claim to say there is more money, but the more monies ideally that came from subsidy removal have not impacted positively on any sector or measurably in Nigeria. Yes, you could say the states are not having more money, but what do they do with the monies? So the institutions, the university sector really has not been impacted. So until time here, you may say their salaries became commensurable, but like I said, that singular factor of subsidy removal threw over the roof all of probably the acclaimed things that will have been benefit. So the agitations, the agitations are rife as they were, and they are back on stage.
All right, thank you very much for that background story and, of course, how things have been in the country. Definitely, we expect staff to also react and maybe make demands of what is being due of the staff union. But in your opinion, from experience and, of course, the participation you've had with the academic sector for a while, what do you think are the underlying social and economic factors contributing to this deadlock conversation they're having, and how does ASUU and federal government, how does this drama between these two reflect the broader issues in Nigeria's education system at the moment?
Well, first and foremost, we must commend ASUU for having taken a back seat for some time now, for some years, to have relatively stabilized the university educational system for the reason of the strike that they have been able to hold back. Because if you schooled, as at the time some of us schooled in the university, there were multiple strikes, even within session. In a semester, you could have 1, 2, 3 strikes that probably prolong the entire session to maybe a year or two, until almost recently, maybe the last 3, 4 years, or thereabout, that somehow measurably there have been stability in terms of the school calendar system. But again, at this point, I must give that credit to ASUU on the one hand, because even though there are demands that were not met, because like I say, if you are an academic or if you have been in the system, and if you know what it takes to run probably research at that level, both for students and for the entire system itself as an organization, you will know that ideally I'm aware that research is not funded anywhere in the world from budgetary allocation. You see, there are a lot of mismatch. in what we do in Nigeria if truly we must make a headway as a people. Now, at the time, yes, the federal government set up what is called TET Fund, which is the Tertiary Institution Fund. That scheme, ideally, is meant to augment research funding to set up maybe some of the seats in some of the institutions. When I mean seats, depending on the profession, at those levels. Yes, I think those were some of the things the government at the time did.
Okay, comrade.
Yeah.
Hello, comrade. Can you hear me?
Go ahead, please.
Okay, so moving on, what are the potential social implications of a prolonged ASUU strike? And how can the government balance its budgetary constraints with the demand of ASUU?
Of course, the obvious potential economic and social impact of any strike has to do with brain drain. What that means is when students, leave their studies, probably in search of other things. First, it takes time, a gap is created, and because of that gap, people lose focus, people lose time, both in studies and ability to be able to do what they needed to do as when due. So it calls for brain drain, that is one. Then two, you see, it calls for capital flight, because depending on the level of your own studies, where probably first, second, or third degree, you begin to look for greener pastures. So the knowledge you have acquired, ideally, to have been able to impact on Nigeria, it will translate to capital flight. Okay. People begin to look for greener pasture everywhere else in the world, other than your own country.
Okay, comrade.
So two, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. You said two, yeah, go ahead. I want to finish up.
So three, yeah, so three. So what, you see, socially, you begin to have people having to go into vices. For instance, with the advent of the ICT and the technology or technological know-how now on the internet, you have all manner of scams. You see, we're in a situation where even parents now you hear of Yahoo, you hear of Yahoo Plus. Yahoo Plus, because people cannot even go into ritual killings.
Okay. Because
we're in a climate where people now believe human parts can bring about money. I don't know how they come about that thinking anyway, but of course, you can look at it from another perspective, because today people harvest human organs.
Okay, comrade. So what role do you think the government should play in addressing the concerns of ASUU?
You see, what every serious government need to do, particularly in our climate, is to sit back and have a rethink and begin to make begin with appropriate budgetary appropriate budgeting, then to appropriate budgeting implementation. You see, we're in a country where you have a repeated cycle of certain elements that come into national budget annually by way of budget padding. Now, you see, we must professionals should be able to do this. Government should be sincere. You see, the anti-graft agencies should be able to live up to their own billings.
Right.
We're in a country where we falter on virtually every basic thing. We look helpless because we are not sincere. So the government should be able to, first and foremost, be sincere on budgeting, then two, on implementation, and three, to be sure that all these budget line items are addressed,
absolutely,
are implemented.
All right.
So you see, these are not rocket science, but the government must live up to their own billings. There are three arms of government, for instance: the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary.
Right.
The essence for these three different arms is for oversight functioning, for checks and balance. So, but we're in a country where only the executive want to run the show. They make budget by themselves. Even where the National Assembly did not pass certain element, they pass it by themselves. The National Assembly is not now able to oversight the executive, and the judiciary, where there are disputes, cannot now resolve. They resolve an executive to make monies from some of these issues, and it translates both to electoral cycles, so many aspects of our national life. So really nothing is working the way they should. So government should be run on legality, on certain frameworks, on frameworks that are easily implementable, not because you're a Superman. But in our climate, we have Supermen running administration. Everybody run to the president.
Well,
for instance,
unfortunately, so that's where we are right now in the country.
yeah,
But of
that's where
course,
we are. And the
Nigerians
government should
deserve
find,
better.
yes. So for people like President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, with his track record of political participation, you see, some of us owe him in high esteem, needless of the political party difference. But what we are hoping is that while he has this rare privilege, he will be able to do what is right for this country.
Okay.
For God's
Let me come in there. We hope that the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should be able to do the right thing, even though there are a lot of clarifications that need to be made from the on the part of the federal government, saying that it was just a proposal, to the part of the ASUU saying that the government should be responsible enough to get records. I also believe that both parties should provide documents and look into these things, just so the future of young Nigerians can be secured. We shouldn't be living in 1990 in 2025, where the world is moving forward. But let me hold your thought, comrade, again at this point. We need to go on a break now. Please stay on the call. We'll be back after this break to talk about Senator Marafa, who has just dumped the All Progressives Congress and also slammed Tinubu's leadership style. This is a style that a lot of people have found commendable. But we'll talk about this after this break. Please stay with us.
Encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at VOP TV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SLTV channel 264. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television.
Glad to have you stay with People's Voice on VOP Television this beautiful Friday afternoon. Of course, it's the weekend edition, and it's been an interesting conversation talking about the reality of Nigerian students, which is actually determined by whatever the outcome of the agreement between ASUU and the federal government is. But we'll be moving away from that story to talk about a recent development in the All Progressives Congress, where the former Zamfara Central Senator Kabiru Gaba Marafa has announced his resignation from the All Progressives Congress APC, citing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's use and dump style of leadership. Marafa, who served as the Zamfara State Coordinator of the Tinubu Shetima Campaign Organization in the year 2023 presidential election, made this declaration after a two-day meeting of the Senator Kabiru Marafa Consultative Forum. According to the communique issued at the end of the meeting, Marafa's decision to quit the All Progressives Congress stems from the party's alleged neglect of Zamfara State, despite his efforts in delivering the state's votes to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu during the last presidential election. The group expressed regret that despite Marafa's loyalty and contribution, Zamfara State has allegedly suffered neglect under Tinubu's administration. The communique highlighted several grievances, including the escalating insecurity in Zamfara State, the use of security forces to secure electoral victory for the APC, and the alleged deliberate neglect of the state. Marafa's resignation is seen as a significant blow to the All Progressives Congress, and his comment on Tinubu's leadership style has sparked a wider debate about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's approach to governance. The senator's next move is expected to be announced soon, and it remains to be seen how this development will impact the political landscape in Zamfara State and beyond. And of course, for election's sake and for the result that is expected to come out of Zamfara State. But we still have with us Comrade Anselm joining us virtually to discuss this issue. Hello, Comrade, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm with you, comrade.
All
VAP
right. Yes,
television.
you are a politician and you understand how these things play, or you understand how these things work more than those of us just talking in front of the camera. Senator Marafa has expressed his grievance. He has talked about how much work he put into President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's election in 2023, delivering Zamfara State, and has tagged the president a use and dump politician and has questioned his leadership style. First, how is it for politicians, especially the people who are at the center, to manage situations around individuals within the political parties, especially when it comes to appointments and delivering the dividend of their hard work?
Well, thank you. You know, in politics, interest in politics, they say, is thicker than blood.
Right.
So if you go it by that way, you understand why politicians are neither here nor there. So long as their interest per time is not protected, they jump ship. But what is expected, ideally, would have been a politics at this time in Nigeria, a politics of conviction, a politics of purpose. For instance, Zamfara State, where Senator Marafa comes from, is one of the worst hit area by reason of the insurgency in Northwest. But of course, you will sympathize with the people of that state and somehow that region by this reason of what they have suffered as a result of the aftermath of the insurgency attacks. But that said, what was expected ideally would have been Senator Marafa having been convinced at the onset in 2022-23 that APC needed, well, I don't know the parameters by which he arrived at his assessment to say APC ideally needed to have retained power in the first instance, because we saw President Muhammadu Buhari's administration from the beginning to the end. But that said, however, let's assume whatever convictions he had as to why he felt APC needed to hold sway, for which he supported APC for that time and now President ASUU Bola Ahmed Tinubu to win elections. It then means he should have taken the plight of his people into consideration and how best he had desired to serve them. Now, let me say this clearly. To say, see, we are in a country where we have virtually zeroed in on the federal government for survival. You see, this is the challenge we have found ourselves. Nigeria runs on a monolithic economy, probably depending on oil 98-99% for foreign exchange earning, where we have abandoned the mainstay, ideally, that will have been agriculture, agricultural mechanization, plant, animal husbandry and processes, and by extension, mineral exploration and exploitation. See, these are the core competencies in which God had endowed this country for progress. And Zamfara State, Zamfara State, because like I told you earlier, I schooled in Ahmadu Bello University, area, in the Northwest. So Zamfara State, Sokoto State, all of these states I'm very much acquainted with as a person. I know some of the climatic issues there, some of the challenges, but I know some of the advantages that are inherent. Now, Zamfara State is endowed with certain mineral resources, gold and the rest of them, such that when truly exploited, now can bring in so much earnings. And this is part of the insurgency you have seen in some of this region, because criminal elements suddenly came from nowhere, began to exploit these resources at their own beck and call without these revenues being shared with anybody.
Okay,
so what I'm saying on this here. So the summary of this is to say, Senator Marafa, what is expected of him is, first and foremost, from the budgetary allocation due to Zamfara State, how well have they implemented under the watch of President Tinubu? That is one. Then two, from the policy framework that himself designed to be implemented for his people, how well of sort from his own senatorial capacity have they been able to implement some of these things? Then three, what are the issues between himself and the president? To say, Mr. President, while working for you, we had expected that probably by way of extra budgetary allocation or by way of some other means, you will have been able to do A, B, C, D for my people, for which will give you X, Y, Z vote, whether real or imaginary votes, for which you've not done those things. So let me tell us.
You had to say that?
Yes. Yes, because I have to say this because as one who was in the forefront in 2023, you see, I personally, I suffered a lot in Labour Party because I saw some of these challenges and I told my party, you know, the issues between myself and Julius Abure, how Julius Abure deceived Peter Obi against what advice I gave and the strategy.
Okay, sorry, Comrade Anselm. Let's hold your thoughts a bit and take this call quickly. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to People's Voice on VOP Television. Okay, sorry, Comrade Anselm.
Hello.
Hello, good afternoon. This is Ain. I'm calling you from Lagos.
All right.
Okay.
I want to really, before I start, please permit me to say something on the headline you made concerning a governor spending 20 million renovation of graveyard.
Can I continue?
Please go ahead.
Believe me,
So quickly,
I don't want to use a harsh word, but tell me, even in the animal kingdom, who can have that kind of thoughts? You have not finished taking care of the living, you are now renovating cemeteries. Jeez. I don't want to use the harsh word, but that summarizes my opinion over that. Now, concerning the senator that is dumping the party, who is to blame? A very good example is Niger State Governor going ahead borrowing so that he can borrow away the state for development. Believe me, how much does the state have to invest in that state to make it better without partnership with private sector? Governors like Enugu State, Governor Mba and Otis, they partner with the private sector for a long-lasting project. But what we have are people that came to eat, and just as I told you yesterday, as long as we remain in this Bambiala method, that people will go to Abuja, collect money, and without being accountable for it, these are the things we'll have. The senator holding Tinubu responsible for his defection. How much has he invested to his people? How much has he invested to the people that every blame is on Tinubu? Please, let him, and we all know where he's going, ADC, and I wish him well, and I see if he will return to the Senate in the next election. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Inaya. Comrade, are you still there?
Kindly unmute your mic so we can hear you, Comrade Anselm.
Oh.
Hello, Comrade.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Yeah,
Better.
I'm here.
Okay, I believe you heard what Inaya said.
Yes.
Okay, so he talked about Senator Marafa, whatsoever he has with the president, they should have actually treated it privately. So, Comrade, away from that, I want us to talk about that particular statement, use and dump. How does Marafa's criticism of Tinubu's use and dump leadership style reflect in the other members of APC? You understand? So is it a thing of concern? What do you think about that particular phrase, that word use and dump?
Well, actually, to me, it's a relative term because in the same APC, there are people who believe that Tinubu has done heaven and earth and is doing marvelously well. That's on the one side of some persons in APC. But in the same APC, you now have Senator Marafa and others who are saying Tinubu has used and dumped us. But the question is, like I said earlier, we need to know the perspectives, because there must be an understanding somehow between Senator Marafa and Senator His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the course of the electioneering activities. To say, Mr. President, should you come to power, maybe you must come to power. For you to come to power, by all means, we can help you rig election. And they manufactured votes, probably beyond what was voted for. So maybe if these are some of the areas in which he now feels we gave you extra vote beyond what was truly due, believing that will benefit from the your government in ABC ways.
Okay.
But now both the votes we gave you illegally or somehow, we don't have anything to show for that. So let him tell us. Because if he alluded to the issues of the kind of vote and security implication for the vote cast and the rest, of course, some of us will understand what he's talking about.
Okay, so in closing, Comrade, how might Marafa's resignation affect the All Progressive Congress? How will it affect their chances in the future elections?
Yeah. Well, realistically and honestly speaking, you see, I will advise politicians not to allow crisis in your party. It's an honest advice. You see, for every one person you lose from your fold, it will have a ripple effect on your victory mode. Because, for instance, a senator at his level, his experience and capacity, if you lose a man like that, the rest assured that you are going to lose votes in their hundreds, in their thousands, or hundreds of thousands.
Right.
And every vote matters. So the advice would be, if it is possible for President Tinubu to reconcile with him, let him reconcile. Are you with me?
Yes.
Right.
For his own electoral strategy and victory strength.
Okay.
But for people like us in opposition, of course, we'll be happy to have him. So that
I think that's a good. I think that's a good one. If we are to close with that, I think I'm fine, comrade. I know I was expecting to say that, and you said it, so I think we're fine with that particular
we'll be
statement.
very happy to welcome Senator Marafa in our particular
All right.
Labour Party. So let him look into the direction of Labour Party. I may lead the team.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so
Comrade
much, comrade. That was actually a direct invitation, but we actually appreciate you for joining the show. Okay, thank you so much, comrade.
All right, it's been a very interesting conversation. The loss of one man is the gain for another man. And if Senator Marafa gets to hear this, the Labour Party is inviting you to join their party. But either way, the closing remark for him is that every political party needs to find a way to sort whatever internal issues they have, just so they can, come together for electoral victory. But that's the much we can take on the People's Voice on this special Friday edition. Until next week, just ensure that you stay informed, engaged, and of course, make sure that your voices are always heard. We are here for you to continue to amplify your voices. I am Adefunke Jaizime, and as always, I strongly believe in this project, Nigeria. Nigeria would be great again. I'm sure you share that thought.
All right.